Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I guess this video is for Blake. Blake's Jays have not been having a good season. They have a $240 million payroll. They've had Bichette and Vlad Guerrero on their roster for the past 6, 7 seasons now. And they were supposed to have this young core that went to the World Series and did all these big things, and they haven't won one playoff game with that core. So, uh, not to kick you when you're down, I'm just giving all the facts. And now we're here. Deadline's approaching. And do we keep Bichette and Vlad for one more ride? Do we extend them? Or do we trade them? So we're gonna take some looks at who we'd choose, starting with the Dodgers, which would be Blake's team. Blake, before we get into that, how are we feeling?
Not great. Definitely not great. They didn't have the offseason a lot of Jays fans expected. When you're getting your nuts tickled by Shohei Ohtani and you kind of get left at the altar, it's tough. It's tough, right? And then you miss out on Soto because you're too distracted with Ohtani. You miss out on Cody Bellinger. They basically struck out every single time, and they had to settle for 39-year-old Justin Turner. Um, they're they have a really good pitching staff. They invested a lot of money in the pitching. I just feel like they got away from their identity from 2021 where they mashed the baseball. And they just haven't got internal improvement from guys. Bichette has a 615 OPS right now. He's been brutal. He's been absolutely terrible. So, if you trade a guy like Bichette, his value is at an all-time low right now. But the Jays might not have a choice because A, they're not making the playoffs this year, and B, you can't lose them for nothing, right? I mean, you kind of got to pick your poison here. I don't know.
You're talking to the wrong guy about losing players for nothing, right? I
Oh, I
mean,
know. I know.
went through this with
For sure. For sure.
Otani last year.
Yeah.
I feel
That's the
your
choice you
pain.
made.
Jays
Yeah.
fans, I know I came in hot right there. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
My team sucks too. So,
Yeah.
that's where we're at. But Blake, you have Bo Bichette going to the Dodgers potentially.
Yeah.
What's your thought process there?
Yeah, I just think it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, I'm not saying Mookie Betts can't play short. I'm sure he can, right? And he's shown that he's capable of playing short. But Mookie Betts is a right fielder. He's best as a right fielder. With the Dodgers, I feel like if you add Bo Bichette to this already stacked lineup, even if it is for 2 years, or if they do extend him down the road, which they probably will with the amount of money that they spent the last couple off seasons, I think it's a perfect fit. Great contact guy, 20 plus power for homers. Defense is coming a little bit for Bichette. He was a plus DRS last year after he was a minus 16 in 2022. He's got some familiarity with a guy like Hernandez. Obviously, got his buddy Kevin Biggio that just went there. So, yeah, this would turn a already scary lineup into a really scary lineup. It'd be kind of murder's row, but I think it makes too much sense for a guy like Bichette to go there. The Dodgers got a loaded system, right? I mean, if you want to package uh Paha or Gavin Lux has struggled. Maybe the Jays could target one of their young pitchers, right? There is some prospects here for the Dodgers that they could. This is definitely a potential match.
Yeah, I don't see Paez getting moved at this point
Yeah,
or Outman.
yeah.
But I mean, look down there in that 8 hole, you have Gavin Lux.
Hmm.
2 home runs this year, batting 224, obviously coming off an injury. You would have to think that he probably gets moved in a Bichette deal, not as the main piece, but
Yeah.
one of the pieces. You talked about how the Jays have pitching depth already.
Hmm.
I could see them inheriting some pitching,
Hmm.
and so they don't have to spend so much there, and then they can spend in the position player market. Um, Obviously, Miguel Rojas isn't the starting shortstop. I mean, he's batting 297. You'll take that out of Miguel Rojas.
Hmm.
But Mookie, when he moved back to the infield, he was playing second base primarily. So he was supposed to be the second baseman. Lux was supposed to be the shortstop. You get Bichette, Mookie comes back, plays second. That's your middle infield. I
Yeah.
think it does make a lot of sense. Um, but yeah, I mean, another team, and this is going to be my pick. You talk about familiarity. His name's Alex Anthopoulos. All right. Let's go look at the Braves here. They do have Orlando Arcia. Orlando Arcia is only batting 212 this season. 6 home runs, no stolen bases. So I'm thinking, hey, you go get a Bo Bichette, and you just talked about extensions. Alex Anthopoulos is the extension king. He knows how to get everybody at a nice deal. He's extended Albies, he's done Acuna, Olson, Murphy, list goes on, Riley.
Hmm.
So with that said, you go and get a Bo Bichette. Phillies are down right now. No Harper, no Schwarber. This is the obviously Acuna's out for the rest of the season. So they need to make it up somewhere. Bo Bichette makes a lot of sense. Their farm isn't as strong as it once was,
Hmm.
but they do have MLB ready players that they can, flip. You can flip a Arcia that can get the Jays through this season. Obviously, that's not going to be the big piece of that deal, but you can flip those guys. Let's see what they got on the bench here. Yeah, maybe a catcher with
Like a Danny Jansen,
Jansen.
maybe.
Danny
Yeah.
Jansen's going to be hitting the market
Yeah.
at the end of the year. They're going to need a catcher. Travis d'Arnaud's always been, for the past couple of seasons, been a pretty good catcher. Do they really need two between Murphy and d'Arnaud? You can switch to Jansen for the season, then figure that out later. I don't know, just a thought, but I think this is a underrated um, destination for Bichette that hasn't been talked about, and I think it would be a really good fit.
Yeah.
But
I'm
getting
with you. That's a really good
get,
that's a good option.
getting over to somebody that might hurt a little bit more, and Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I thought that they were going to ink Vlad, especially after that MVP season. He talked about how he wanted to play his whole career with the Jays, and then they asked him, "Would you, he said, I would never want to go play for the Yankees. And then gets re-asked, yeah, I would play for the Yankees. And then Bo Bichette, would you be surprised if you got traded? Not at all. Right. So it doesn't really seem like they're interested in staying, in my opinion, based off those comments.
Well,
The
and
fact they,
the fact that you got these two stars and you're into year six, and there hasn't even been uh rejected proposal. We haven't heard like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. rejects a $300 million offer from the Blue Jays. Nothing. We haven't even seen a proposal in front of them. So um Atkins is, oh well, there's still time. There's still a window there. There's no window. There's no window. If there was a window, we already would have seen something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if both these guys are gone. It's a it's one of the got to be one of the biggest failures core wise that we've seen in a long time. It's just been so mismanaged. 0-6, like you mentioned, in playoff games, haven't won one single game with this core. So, yeah, big time failure. And for a team, that from 1993 to 2015 and 16 made the playoffs twice in 20 plus years, you make it in 2021, 2022, 2023, and you strike out again. It's tough. It's really tough.
yep. And I think also, obviously, they went in for Otani and thought they had him at $700 million.
Yep.
They have $700 million to hand out. How have
How
not
have
one of
you?
these two guys?
Right.
Like you
Exactly.
choose one at least at the
Right.
end of the day. Like, I mean, who are they going to draw to go play there in the next 3 years if they don't have one of them?
Exactly.
Vlad's the
Exactly.
bigger name, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, both of them, they come from two dads that were stars in this league, right? Um, and we've talked about in turn, like between me and you, like how much does money really play? Like they grew up having money. Like,
Mhm.
is the money that important, or is it more like where they want to be, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But let's get into Vlad. We'll start with you once again. And looks like you're going down to Houston.
Yeah, this has already been kind of a target that's been rumored out there, but I think it makes a lot of sense. First base, you got John Singleton. Obviously, a couple years ago, you had Jose Abreu sign, but they just flat out released him because he was hitting under 200 and he was in AAA. So, this makes a lot of sense, especially um, if you could. you could potentially be losing Alex Bregman next year. So if you got a guy like Vlad Guerrero Jr., even if it is for a couple of years, it softens the blow if you do lose a guy like Bregman from that middle of that lineup. So I think Vlad's right-handed bat would fit perfect in this lineup. You got that short porch and left. Boy, yeah, he would hit a lot of balls up on the train tracks or even over the train tracks in Houston. So this would be a really good fit for to add Vlad.
Yeah, I think protection wise too, right? You add
Hmm.
in Vlad to this, you have Jordan Alvarez, you got Altuve inked up, but he also fits that young core
Hmm.
of Pena, Alvarez, obviously Vlad. Yainer Diaz is only 26 years old. Those are just some guys that, you add them in there. Chas McCormick's 29, but
Yeah.
he's not having the year he had last year. When we go down to last year, 22 homers, 273. But if you can get him going, you have something pretty special for a couple more years here. So
Yeah.
I think personally it would make sense. Maybe we see a guy again like Hunter Brown. He struggled this year, but it's some control. It gets put in your rotation. You don't have to spend in the rotation.
Mhm.
I believe Kikuchi's a free agent for you guys.
Yep.
Bassett's got one more year. Gosman's got one more year.
2 more years.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're gonna obviously Manoah just had TJ.
Hmm.
The Jays, they have starters. They just haven't, luckily, they've had some decent health.
Hmm.
Um, but they don't really have that depth. They don't
No,
really have that
no.
pitching depth that most teams have. So, at least teams that are making the playoffs. Um, But yeah, I like the fit. It would make sense. Um, but I'm gonna go with the Padres. Now, hear me out. They don't really make sense. They've traded Soto, but they've traded for Cease. They've traded for Arias early,
Yeah.
right? They have currently Luis Arias in at first base right now. Jake Cronenworth in at first base right now. Cronenworth can play the outfield. He could play some short. He could play second, third, wherever you want to put him. He's a utility guy. He's like the
Yeah.
new Ben Zobrist if you use him that way,
Hmm.
right? You go get Vlad. You'll have Tatis, Machado, Bogarts when he's healthy, right? You'll have um Arise. I mean, this team, in my opinion, could potentially give the Dodgers some trouble if
Yeah.
you were to go get a Vlad type guy. To me, the Jays have never had that true protection for Vlad. That superstar to stick right behind him. You could say even they had Semien, which
Yeah.
was his best year
Right.
when they had
45 homers.
Semien.
Yeah.
Semien, he had a little bit of protection, which was his best year. But outside of that, he hasn't really had protection. He has to be the guy. You stick him between Manny Machado and Tatis. I mean, it would be a pretty right-handed heavy lineup.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Padres have been wheeling and dealing. I mean, they
Yeah.
they like to make trades. In my opinion, it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, I guess he had some protection with Hernandez, I guess a little bit, not as much as he did with Simeon, but yeah, this is a really good fit too. Like you said, it doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense. Like it's based off the moves they made in the past, like you mentioned. But um yeah, honestly, if you want my opinion from a Jays fan, I think both players get traded. I don't know if it's going to be this season. They would probably get more value back if they traded him, get a year and a half of control instead of just 1 year if they traded him in the winter. Um, but the Jays got to decide now because you have to trade guys like Turner. I would even take offers on Gosman right now if you're the Jays. To be honest, Gosman, Kikuchi, trade him. Trade a guy like Yimi Garcia, who's having a great year too. So, yeah, I would sell off everybody on 1 year contracts, honestly, and just you have to make both these guys available because you're not going to get more value if you trade him in the winter.
Well, ultimately, I think they're going to be trying to get under the luxury tax. They're at 240 million right now. They signed IKF to $7.5 million. I mean, he's having a decent season, but
Yeah,
just there's some loaded contracts on that team. There really is. I
yeah,
mean, a 35-year-old Chris Bassett making 20 mil a year. I think they are going to try. Kikuchi's probably gone. That's an easy 13 million off the books.
yeah,
They're going to try to get under the luxury tax, if I had to imagine. To reset, look at free agency. Juan Soto's coming up. Maybe they go. hey, we are going all in. They just tried to get Otani. Maybe they throw that money at Soto instead. Just a thought. But yeah, they definitely, I think they get under the luxury tax here, unless they start winning some ball games pretty quickly. But I think that would be a mistake, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Their offense, the outfield's pretty bleak. I mean, Springer just started to do some things.
yeah,
Varsho, okay, he's been decent this year. Kiermaier's up there in age, he's a defensive guy.
yeah,
They have Davis Schneider playing in the outfield.
yeah,
They've called up some guys. It is what it is. But
yeah.
yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this one. You got anything else?
Nope. It's just I like doing these little exercises. Gets the brain thinking, so it's good.
Alrighty. Yeah, it's gonna do it for this one. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. We are close to 1,000 subs, so every sub is appreciated. As always, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.